trying to see. It does not work. We have been trying since since 1970 something. What's the result? U.S. was number 7 in the IMP, in the International Math Placement Test. Today the U.S. is at 32. 4 or 5 more countries, you'll be that less. In a high school, in only what? And also, when you hear, for example, the U.S. is doing bad, you should really start laughing. It depends on what you're talking about. The U.S. is not doing bad. You freaking stupid. The U.S. has more Nobel Prize scientist winners than the rest of the world combined. Last year, I think maybe only one Nobel Prize scientist was not a U.S. citizen. Only one. And he was educated in the U.S. anyway. So it's a two-tier system. Depends on where you are. Even within the same school, it's not the same. Some people are, HISD is not good. You're crazy. HISD has some excellent schools like Bel Air. And also they have some schools that are gangster. That's why in the U.S. it is not true when you say everybody gets educated. That's not true. Depends on your zip code. Depends where you live. I taught at both schools. One school I got in trouble for giving homework. Yeah, I was told in the principal's office, hey, you're giving a lot of homework, you're stupid, we don't do homework here. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And one school, I think it's very customary at Bel Air High School. By the way, Bel Air feeds to Rice University, it's the same. When I taught at Bel Air in the summer, it's customary to see like 4 or 5 students with the parents in class. Either the father or the mother. They're in class. And who is that mother? Freaking engineer sitting in the class. But this is the type of world you live in. You know damn well what kind of competition waits for you. Like I always tell my students, you want to know what kind of world you live in? You can go Saturday to the U of H library to the 3rd floor and have a paper like this with you and put over here Asian, everyone else. And then go like this. Just put a check mark. Then go back next Saturday. You see the same motherfucker sitting in the same chair studying. You know what he's studying? This guy has only one objective, to destroy you. to destroy the hell out of you. For him to get the job that you aspire, and for you to flip burgers at McDonald's. You can hear people say, oh, you want to, they're taking our jobs. Yeah, you are right, they are. But they work 10 times harder than you do. Of course, what's the solution? For you to work harder than they do. That's the solution. Okay. Let's start graphing. But before we graph, I want to mention a couple of things about graphing. So, and in a minute we'll talk about why graphing. I consider graphing to be the easiest part for you. Let me ask you a question. What happens if I have f of 2x? Tell me what happened to x. X by... No, tell me what happened. Are we multiplying x by 2 or are we dividing x by 2?
Dividing.
Divide x by what? You know this, right? Because x kind of acts always different than any other one. Always opposite of what you see. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen today in transformation. If we take a function, what can we do to it? Any function, f of x, not trig function, any what function. Those transformations, we have applied those transformations every time we learned about functions, about new class of function, we applied those what transformations. We learned about polynomial and rationals, right? What did we do? We said, oh, a polynomial can go left and right, up and down, it can stretch, shrink, it can reflect. Well, the same thing here. We can reflect, shrink, go up, down, left, right. So my advice to you is review chapter 2, transformations. Chapter what? I think in chapter 2, because chapter 1 was function, chapter 2, transformation. If I'm right, chapter 1, more than good. So let's start in graphing. The graph of the sine and the cosine what? On function. And a lot of this also relates to you studying and to you knowing the unit what. So maybe I need your thing, please. Okay? Is that okay? So are we ready to learn about the graphing? Yeah?
Where do we have more problems like business structures? In the homework we showed?
So I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to show you. Because I realize that it's kind of scattered all over the place, so I'll show you, okay? Or if you want, I can try to kind of organize them more for you. So we can organize them in some categories, like for example, homework related to chapter 4, homework related to chapter 5, homework related to something like that. I can try to do that. And again, I shouldn't only be blaming you. Yeah, I should. Yeah, I'm gonna blame you. I'm gonna blame you.
It's all your fault, basically. You're not, just blame him. You
So-
big man, you can.
Or he just gonna call you fat. Jesse, go to the left eye, the right ear. Like that he'd be damaged asymmetrically. You don't know which side.
So I won't be able to hear them coming on this side, but I can see them, and I won't be able to see them, but I'll be able to hear them.
Alright. So let's go ahead and do the graphing real quick. First thing is first, let's remind ourselves what's the definition of a period. A period is when you have f of x plus p. Basically is the same as f of what? F of what? But p has to be what? Greater than what?
0.
And the shortest interval, right? For example, for tangent and cotangent, they do repeat every 2 pi, but that's not the shortest because they repeat also every what? 5. And then, like I said, we were gonna see why when we finish. So, he's gonna tell you this. Let's just learn about some vocabulary. So, the amplitude, it's a little bit different than a regular function in the sense that you gotta learn about a couple more words. So what's an amplitude of a function? An amplitude is, let f be a periodic function. Let m and m denote respectively the minimum and the what?
Maximum.
The amplitude simply is maximum minus minimum over what? This is just the amplitude for you. M denotes the minimum, right? And m denotes the what? Max. And if I were you, the way I write the formula always is actually m minus m over what? Over 2 as amplitude. So the amplitude is always half of the what? Half of the what? Half of the what? Half of the height. So it's a multiplication of y, right? This is the y, right? So what is the amplitude of the function here? So the amplitude goes from here, which is, I'm going to try my best to do it for you. Negative what? To what? And goes up to what?
It's the same thing in physics.
It's same thing as,
That's it.
of course.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's the link to that.
Yeah. So the maximum here is 8, and the minimum is negative what? 2. So the amplitude really, A, is 8 minus negative 2 over what? Over what?
2.
Over 2. Definitely it's what? That's the amplitude. What is the period here? The repetition interval, the smallest repetition what? Interval. So if you take from here, let's say, you notice how it's kind of going from negative 8, if I want, to negative what? To negative 2, right? From negative 8 to negative what? Also, if you take a look at here, from negative 2 to positive what? From 4 to positive what? To positive what? 10. So if you do, for example, negative 8, like that, then negative 2, notice that from here to here is just 6 what? units. If I do another repetition interval, notice here, this is, the period here is, let's say, from 4 to what? To 10. Also, 6. So I don't think I can come up with anything else that is shorter, right? So it is kind of conceivable for you to say that the period is 6 what? 60. The shortest repetition, positive, right? And so if you start looking at the function here, okay? Because of the repetition, look. It's kind of very easy to see the repetition. Right here. You're gonna go down. Right? And then right here. Okay? That's just as a first observation. Okay? Of course, he's going to tell you about the period, which is 2 pi for sine and what? This means after you go 2 pi, you repeat the same function. Okay? Since the period of cosine and sine are 0 to 2 pi, we can graph them over 0 to what? Because we're going to repeat the same what? Moves. All right. So let's just start with sine and what? Cosine. So best way for you to pretend that this shift does not what? Exist. So let's pay attention. So here's the sine and cosine. This is one I'm gonna draw the unit what?
Circle.
I'm gonna draw the unit circle right here for us to kind of use it for our advantage a little bit. That's okay? Is that okay? So